This is Wirecast Live. You're tuning in live for episode 16. Today is Thursday, August 25th. I'm Andrew Haley. I'm your host, and every week we do live streaming tips, live broadcasting tips about Wirecast, what you may or may not know. And today we are very happy to be joined by a special guest from New Zealand, Ricki Prime. Ricki Prime is a guy that you will want to know about because he is doing a ton and has been doing a ton of things on live streaming. So Ricki, you are joining us. It's kind of early in the morning there. Probably tomorrow. You're in the future right now, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm in the future about a day, I think, half a day, 16 hours.
16 hours in the future. Yeah. So I've already had a good night's rest and had my morning coffee and breakfast by the time I get to this same time that you're in right now. I hope. I hope my day goes that smoothly tomorrow.
All right. That's epic.
Well, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you being here today. I know, it's not easy to set up these long-distance Skype calls, and you kind of have to you had to get up early the other day for a practice just to make sure that Skype was talking, everything was working. So you've been great, and we're really glad to have you join us live today.
Yeah. Mayday, we have malfunction. No.
Yeah, so we basically, we're bringing you in live through our New Tech talk show box, and that is generously provided to us by New Tech, and they basically allow us to use the Skype TX network and bring you in high quality video. And if your bandwidth does drop out, then you're going to be replaced by your, a nice smiling photo.
Yeah.
But we should still have your audio. So why don't we get started? Tell me a little bit. Why don't we tell the audience and people who are tuning in? And if you have a question for Ricki or anything, just leave a comment in the comment section. We will get to those. We'll take those live. But Ricki, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how did you get into live streaming?
All right. Well, I'll start off. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been supporting me. That's number one. And number two is thank you guys for having me on the show, and to everyone that's come along to watch that already helps me out and supports me. Thank you guys. But yeah, so live streaming I started about 4 years ago. I started on Twitch.tv. I was a gaming streamer when I first started, and I was in a relationship and we broke up. And I stopped streaming. And I thought about it, I was like, gaming, I like gaming, but it's just the social aspect of the live streaming that I really like. So we were together for another 6 months and then we broke up. I went straight to Periscope and vlogged the breakup actually. And that kind of gave me some momentum. Then went to different platforms and ended up here using Wirecast. Direct to Facebook. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you kind of came into it from the game streaming side of things, right? You were streaming to Twitch. What game were you playing?
It was a variety. It was mainly League of Legends. So I had an agreement with a skin store online, which was pretty cool. That was actually really cool.
Like a skin store that could change the look of what?
The in-game characters. So it's
okay.
Like a storefront for the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a really cool sort of setup.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty minuscule though, but it's just a different style of streaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say Twitch is a very different type of streaming. Game streaming in general is very different. What was it that you found was, you said that you liked the social aspects more than other aspects. What was it that you didn't like about that particular type of streaming? I mean, I know it's very demanding on people's time, right?
Yeah.
People have to constantly be online all the time. Were you finding that was the case for you?
So, no, it was all you got to do is pretty much just be consistent in your timing. That was the biggest one. So it's all right, if you're going to be going live at 6 o'clock, go live at 6 o'clock. No questions asked. Just get in there and do it. But, a lot of people would come along. I had a really good audience when I was on Twitch.tv, but it was the thing with Twitch was gaming. People like gaming, but gaming kind of, there's a stigma attached to it. Like, there's something about gaming that people didn't like, and I remember people would be like, "Why do you just sit there and game all the time?" But I personally really liked gaming. It's just, I guess I like gaming in my personal time, and just jumping on camera more for the social aspect. And what I mean by that is like, we'll cover like topics. We'll, someone might have some situation happen in their week. We'll raise it up. We'll start talking about it, and we can go in a little bit deeper. I guess, I guess live streaming is kind of like you're an auctioneer. You can make note of who's spoken and really work your way around different particular situations, and I think that's really important. When I say auctioneer, it's like bang. You're always on the mark with all the people talking. So we got Valentin in the chat saying hello Wirecast. I'm like, I can look into the chat right now and I can see the people talking. So we got Robert Hicks in the house. Big shout out to Robert Hicks.
I think we'll be talking a little bit about him in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love. I think you're right on about this. Is that and I think I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I can hear myself. Why is that? Some of the audio's getting picked up there. But what I like about it too is exactly what you say, that we definitely get an immediate response from audience. You can interact directly with them, and so I think when you moved from the gaming to being more of a general type of broadcaster, and you said you jumped, then kind of went on to kind of took a break from live streaming, and then you got back on as you're going through this breakup on a Periscope. What was it, and and then you went on from there. There's several other steps to your career and where you've been so far. So I'd like to cover all of those, but just let's take it one at a time. So when you moved from Twitch to kind of becoming a Periscope vlogger about life and relationships and that kind of thing, what was that transition like for you? I mean, first of all, what were you finding? Like, what was the reason behind getting on there? A lot of people get nervous about sharing personal details about their life or their relationships, and that, because they're just private and maybe they want some more privacy in what's going on in their own life, maybe keep a distance, and then two, maybe because they're worried it's gonna affect the other people involved, or that people are gonna see it that they don't want to hurt their feelings or something. So can you talk a little bit about that? And first of all, I guess my question is, how did it help you? Why did you do it? And then what were the effects on other people?
Okay, so there wasn't really many effects on other people. I guess like I went through a breakup, and that breakup was like, it was interesting because I'd broken up with this girl. I started after Twitch. I started moving into Periscope, and Periscope, if you guys don't know about Periscope, Periscope had this 24-hour clip round. So your clip would be out for 24 hours and then just instantly disappear, which made it perfect for vlogging a breakup. So I vlogged this breakup I went through, and I just found it really interesting how people would come along. And I actually created an audience on Periscope because I was doing like a daily vlog. Every single day, I would come across another situation. I'd be like, okay, this happened today. Has this happened to you? What are your thoughts on it? How would you deal with it? This is what I did. I don't know if I was right. Don't know if I was wrong. But the thing is we did something, and I'm here to share with you. So it was really interesting. I definitely like to look back and watch those broadcasts. There's actually one episode which I saved and I put up on my YouTube.
But most of them are gone, huh? Just gone into the ether, or they're on some secret server at Twitter somewhere.
Probably on some secret server at Twitter.
So, I mean, would you go into the real nitty gritty? Would you name names, or do you keep everything pretty generic and like not getting too much into the details of specific people?
I'd never say names. I'd always say the situation. I'd say like, all right, you see, I'll just go into it. So every so often, like one of this person's family members would actually come in and like see me in my store. Just different things like this,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna run into people
Text
that
messages.
in real life that may have seen the broadcast or seen the Periscope or the vlog, right?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, but I didn't mind. Like I didn't care. Like how many people have been in a breakup? That's the relatability of the issue,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And without going through it, how would I be able to relate to the audience that was watching that? You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was keeping them up to date every single day, and then they're like, "That's cool. Like I can see this," and it's not like I begged. I would say my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say how I felt, but it was just more like being real, being honest, just talking with my audience. And so it's interesting because the audience that I had were like, "Oh, well, we want to talk with you in person. There's this new app that came out, which is now gone. Rest in peace, bless their souls. That was Blab.im. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
yeah, and so I went on there and started meeting up with the people that, yeah, and we would actually have open discussion and all sorts of weird stuff like that.
Interesting. So it's this natural progression for you. So let's get to Blab in just a second. I want to stay with on Periscope for a second because I know that
Yep.
was a big deal when it came out, and it's still, it's Twitter's main way of broadcasting right now. So
Yep.
people still use it a lot. But what were
You're on Blab, so
what were what was the main thing that you were getting out of doing the vlog? Like, why did you keep doing it every day?
why did I do it every
Yeah,
day?
were you trying to help
Um,
other people? Was it a way for you to process? Was it just
I
a
think it's a little bit of both.
uh-huh.
Like, so I had my house here, and the people I live with, like, at the time, they weren't in like a state of mind to understand what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do I explain this?
Well, they were sick of listening to
They,
you every day, right? So you had to find other people.
I get, yeah,
You wore
exactly.
you
No, no,
wore
no,
out your friends.
no.
No,
Well,
no,
no,
I'm
no, no.
kidding.
So what was interesting about my friends, they haven't really had too many relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I couldn't ask him for any help. It was kind of a bit weird. It was a situation where it was like it was just me.
Yeah.
So and because they normally like, what do I do, Ricky? You know. So
Right,
when I
right.
went to go to ask him, it's like getting no answers. So I kind of just went online and spoke about it, and I was still getting no answers, but it was kind of a good vent, and I found it interesting how people could relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you find people who are listening and they're understanding and they're trying to
Yeah.
understand, that's very helpful. And just the act of sharing that, getting off your chest. I mean, I do that all the time. I often find that just talking about something helps me process it. And maybe nobody's telling me what to do or gives me the silver bullet, right?
Yeah.
But just I kind of do it to myself by talking it out. And by the time I'm
Yeah.
at the end of it, I kind of go, oh, I think I know what I need to do next, or I need to know. So I was that what you found as well?
Um, no, not really. I just, I'm just, I'm just straight raw, eh? I'm like very, very honest and raw. Like I'll just jump up and it's like, you know, I'd just rather do something than not do it at all. Do you see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people in life that don't do things. They kind of find excuses to get in the way of what they're doing.
Right.
It just happened that on Periscope, I wanted to go on Periscope. I wanted to go back to social streaming instead of just gaming streaming,
Mm-hmm.
and
And this was something to talk
that
about.
just seemed to be the topic. Yeah,
Yeah.
that just seemed to be the topic that had come up,
Yeah.
and it was an interesting topic because people would relate to it so well.
Right. No, it's something we can all certainly relate to, I think. And what at your peak during the vlog on Periscope, like how many people were tuning in?
Like a few hundred would come through quite easily.
Wow. And they would just use the Periscope chat function to like send you questions or comments and you could read them and just respond?
People started adding me on Facebook, because people were wanting to find out ahead of time before
Ah,
the yeah. And I wouldn't post it. I literally used the vlog, but people just wanted to add me. So Facebook become like a directory almost of like people who wanted to follow what I was doing.
mm-hmm. Well, I would think your Twitter following would be that, because isn't Periscope and Twitter, they're so tied together? Isn't that the easier way to let people know when you were going on and off and your followers that way?
It's yeah, it's true. So what would happen would be I'd say to them, oh, you know what, like I use Facebook the most. If you want to catch up with me, then you can add me on there.
Hmm.
Because even though I have a Twitter and I know that Periscope's connected to Twitter, the fact is like my activity where they're gonna see stuff is on Facebook.
Hmm. That's where you're posting more often. That's where you're putting more content.
Hmm.
And actually, I think we have a
I
link for your Facebook page. So if we'll throw that up there so people can find where to get more info for you on. But I think it's just facebook.com/Ricki Prime, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So so you kind of directed your audience to the Facebook thing, and then your audience directed you to Blab, right? They kind of were like, we want to have more of a one-to-one. We'd like to call in. And so that led you to this, were they like, hey, there's this cool new thing called Blab.im. You should
Yep.
check it out.
Yep.
So what happened? Tell me about the first time you got on Blab and what was that like?
Oh, it's so funny. The first time I went on Blab, this is me on Blab. I never experienced Blab before. And I'm like, yeah, woo, new application to try and figure out. So I'm on a web application called Blab. Click in Blab.im. It's not there anymore, by the way, if you guys are watching. But yeah, log in, and then there's got like a box. There was a box in the middle of the screen.
Hmm.
And you click go live, and I'd go live, and I didn't know anyone on there. I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know anything. So I sat there for 5 minutes, just drinking a coffee. I didn't know what to do. I was so lost. And then this guy called Alan Wu, he's a guy that did some stuff for Star Wars, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
He's from Canada. I remember him pretty clearly. Alan Wu was his name. And yeah, he was the first person I met on Blab, and it was quite interesting because we sat down and I was like, "Oh, this guy's actually a cool guy. Oh, you're an actor." And yeah, I just felt privileged to have spoken to someone on the other side of the world, face to face, randomly. I like the discoverability of the app straight away, instantly.
That's cool. So, and like you mentioned, it's not online anymore. They had to take it down. Actually, if we could, Deborah Lee, do you have a shot of my desktop? Can we? All right. So if you head over to blab.im, this is what you'll see. It's time to say goodbye, and then if you click on read the full story, they actually have a very nice Medium post on why why they're dead, why it died. And
Yeah.
from what I can gather, I mean, you guys could take your own time to take. It says 6 minutes to read. That's one thing I love about Medium is they'll tell you like what's the read time, right? And so I usually find them they're pretty accurate. I think I'm about as slow of a reader as like the slowest time estimation, but. From what I can tell, it sounds like they had a ton of users at their peak, and then, but most of the content was pretty bad, and so people just wouldn't come back to watch again. They'd check it out once or twice, and then
Yeah.
they'd come. It was just too boring. They're like, why come back? There's not enough good stuff on here. So it sounds like they just ran out of money. It's expensive to do a video hosting live streaming site like Blab is, I guess. And
Yeah.
if you don't
Yeah.
get enough revenue in the door or paid users or something, you're going to eventually run out of business. So,
Yeah.
but while it was
I
gone, I
s-
think they were up for a good year or two, right?
Yeah. I definitely think it's like quite an amazing tool. Like I think in the future seeing that and like if you could tap into like a Twitter just Twitter users easier,
Mm-hmm.
just having better flow with discoverability,
Mm-hmm.
that'd make the app so much better. And just adding in a few simple tools would have made it like super awesome. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not the platform in which builds up a community. It's
Mm-hmm.
the community itself. You know, it's like a heart transplant. It's like the body is like the platform, but you can actually take the heart and transport it into another platform.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point.
So
Like your audience followed you from one platform to another, and I think continues
uh,
to follow you. So it's the technology isn't so much what matters as the heart of the message or the heart of the content or the person.
mm,
I think it's a really
uh,
good point. And you've been transplanted a couple times. So now you've moved from
mm.
Blab to Facebook, right?
Yeah, but I've been doing like a little bit with Periscope. Like I do my trial broadcast on Periscope, and if the image is if the projection of like the data looks good on Periscope, then I'll probably do it on Facebook Live at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, Expand on that. What do you mean by the projection of the data or the data?
So like for instance, if I have an idea, I'll live stream using Periscope because Periscope isn't my biggest audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get that same content if it goes well, and then I'll reproduce it and do it on Facebook Live at a different date.
Ah.
And then that way I've already got like a running idea of like how well it might go.
That's a really, really interesting idea. Like to use different platforms to test different contents and use one of them even as kind of like a beta ground for certain ideas, and then taking it to maybe your larger, more established audience when it's ready. Have you found
Mm.
that the audiences are different on different platforms? Like, is the Facebook audience like more of a certain type or a certain demographic versus say because people like to say like, okay, if you're using you go on LinkedIn if you want people who are professionals and like over 30. You go on, Facebook if you want everyone over 30, 25 years old and up, all the way up to 60-year-old. Like they just basically have an idea that each platform kind of represents a different kind of person or at a different point in their life. I mean, are you finding there's big differences between your audiences on different platforms?
Sorry, just that last
Oh,
part.
no,
What
I was
was
just
that
saying,
last
do you find that there's a big difference between your audience on different platforms? Like, are your Periscope viewers a lot different than your Facebook viewers?
part? There's a lot more trolls on Periscope.
Ah, okay. They just kind
Yeah.
of pop in and leave annoying messages?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a waste of their time really because I
Mm-hmm.
don't acknowledge it, but I really like I respect my Periscope audience, and I think what makes this is how I think. It's like I'm going to do stuff on my Periscope that's different to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's going to be some stuff on my Periscope that Facebook might not see. So people on my Facebook should really spread out. Do you know what I mean? Like if
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to see more, they could go see more. They just have to be a part of like different areas of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
See, like we tend to look at what we do and bottleneck ourselves.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at like I look at when I think of Ricki Prime, I look at it like from a customer perspective, like a consumer, like someone who watches what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it from their angle and I think, oh, Facebook. But then I realize I'm like, well, I went from, Twitch to Periscope to Blab to Periscope. And then in between that, it's Instagram, Snapchat, all these other different areas of social media, which actually makes my social media experience a whole.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of forget that like that one picture that was on Instagram that no one saw was probably like a really important picture. And I actually found this out when I was talking with Rob because like I saved images of my trip that reminded me of like going out to like West Virginia with Rob. There was a couple photos there, and I sent him a photo, and I was like, "Bro, this is cool. This is like a moment which me and you shared." And then I realized I was like, "These is this that's what I mean. Like, there's no amount of social media that can tell you a whole story. No amount
Mm-hmm.
at all. There's no amount that's gonna say, "What did you have for breakfast? What time did you go to the toilet? What time did you have a shower? Did you have a shower?
Mm-hmm.
What did you use to wash your hair?" Do you know what I mean? Like, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but you could wire up a whole house. You could have a camera in your car. You could have Snapchat, someone Snapchatting you. You could have photos like just being blasted through Instagram. but there's no amount of coverage that'll ever tell your whole life. And that's what I think is really interesting about social media and how we kind of think, oh, one particular way is the only way. Live streaming is the most, I feel, is the most important because you can verbalize and someone can ask a question and you can actually give the correct information on instantaneous, or what's the word? I'm trying to look for the word right now. Someone can ask, they get the instant sort of answer, that they're looking for, the instant informational answer.
The immediate answer?
We'll go with that. That wasn't what I was
That
looking
wasn't what
for.
you're thinking, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a really good point. And you said that I like the fact that you're posting all over the place and that you're saying, like, if you want to see a different aspect of my life, go somewhere else. I mean, each medium or each platform, I kind of use it for what it's best for, and that's going to be a different side of me or different kind of content, and no one of them is really who I am or what I like to do, and so that's a really good way to put that.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's hard to keep consistent with that many platforms? I mean, if you're using Instagram, how often do you forget? Do you just is it just too inconsistent, or do you make a goal of like one piece of content per platform per a day, or do you have like Wednesdays is Snapchat day?
No, I used to, and then I realized, like, if I put like a time on what I'm doing, then I have to reach that time scale. And I realized for me, it's like I'm doing this like I put different content out on different areas because like I care that if someone wants to be like, hey Ricki, what did you do today? Or where was that photo taken? That's the reason why I put it out. Like it's not to be like what's the word? Full of myself, I guess. I'm not trying to be full of myself. I just if I meet someone, I get really excited. Like I met so many awesome people, and I'm like this guy from New Zealand that just randomly came and went to the States and just randomly started meeting people. That's big to me. Like each person I met is like a part of my life now,
And so you've just to run with that when you're meeting somebody new, is that like when you Instagram about it, or is that they found you through Instagram, so you do a meetup? I mean,
No, no,
how
no.
does the
So it's
platform play a
live.
role in that for you? Like, is it something that brings you closer to people so they can find you, or is it a way that you um, catalog what happens to you in your life, like exciting adventures like that? That's just how you share them with the world. Or maybe it's both.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, like I've done quite a bit of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, I've done quite a bit of different stuff. Like I'll tell you one really cool thing. So the very first person that actually followed me on Periscope was this guy called Hector Barreto. He's the man. And he lives in New York. And the last week of me going to America the second time this year, I went to New York and I met up with him in Times Square, which was awesome because I was like, this guy is actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, he's a DJ. I'm a DJ, like, on my side hustle, like, I DJ in the weekends. And it's really cool because, like, there's like a whole nother world away, like,
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of alien to each other. We live in a different world, really. And anyway, when I met up with him, it was like one of the most satisfying moments to know that someone that we've talked to for so long, I was just like, yo, this is actually pretty cool. And the more interesting part, right? His, so about 2 days later, I went back to Times Square and I was like, man, it's the middle of summer. You guys know if you guys know what an
Hot.
American
Yeah,
summer's like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like it. I don't like you guys' summers, man. But, like I went into the Starbucks in Times Square and I went in there and this woman was like, oh my God, I know who you are. I'm like, whoa. I'm like in this different world. I don't know. I don't even know where I am. How do you know me? She's like, I know who you are. And I'm like, okay. So, uh, how do I approach this? Now I took it cautiously. I was like, so where do you know me from? And she's like, oh, I'm Hector's wife. And I'm like, oh my God, I met Hector's wife as well.
That's funny.
So to me, like, that meant a lot because, like, me and her have never spoken like a day in our lives.
Right.
We never even chatted through any social media. But you know what was cool about it is the fact that, like, he would talk to her about me, and then we randomly met in Times Square, and she could actually be like, I know who you are. I know a bit about you.
So you get a kick out of that, like just kind of your reputation preceding you a little bit. That's kind of exciting. Like, did you find that sometimes people don't know who you are? You know what I mean? Like they just assume things about you, even though that might be wrong because of what they've seen or what they've heard or what they've watched.
I guess that's the build up. You know, that's the nature of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people will have to find out, eh? Like, if people do know you, they already have like like a pre-perceived judgment of how they think you are.
Mm-hmm.
Until they actually get to meet you, they'll never understand the truth.
Right.
Can I just answer a question in the chat? Because
Yeah,
I
of
feel like
course.
I'm ignoring it. Greg Adams says, what camera is Ricki using? And I'm using a bit of a dog like camera at the moment. There's actually much better ones that have come out now. But this is the C270, Logitech C270.
Yeah, I see
But
a couple other comments there too. We've got the John left a comment. He said that that Blab didn't run out of money, and what so I apologize if that's an incorrect statement. When I read a little bit more through their story, it sounds like they're taking it down because it wasn't making enough money. So maybe they were about to run out, and they're going to retool it and refactor it, and then make it more of like an always-on, hanging out with friends type of platform. So looks like we haven't heard the last of Blab.im for now. It sounds like they're rebuilding it into something else. So thanks for pointing that out, John. Any other questions or comments? Please leave them in the chat there. And then
longest story.
yeah, John says there's a lot more to the story. So John, you're gonna have to hold a live stream and just tell us all about share everything you know. We're gonna tune in and watch that. Okay, so what, Ricki? I think I'd like to talk a little bit about. We mentioned audiences and finding you on platforms. You said Hector's wife kind of knew who you were. When we asked you to describe who your audience is, it seemed to break down. You said it seems to break down into about 70-30. 70% women and about 30% men seem to watch your broadcast. Where is that coming from, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, I'd like to think it's because of my good looks. Nah,
Fair
I
point.
think
Fair
it's
point.
just yeah. Let's be hopeful.
You can hope all day long, man. I just
No, I definitely think it's more. I think it's the way I do things. It's a little bit different. So I talk about topics which people bring up on the regular, like. I did some broadcasts like a little while ago as well, and it was like makeup, hair and beauty. Like, I didn't do them myself. I just got involved with these particular broadcasts, and I really like them. I like watching people be passionate about things, and so I think my diversity. When a guy sort of has makeup, hair and beauty, they kind of freak out. And I know it's not like I'm going to run down to the store and go get a perm or something, but it's just interesting. Everyone has their thing that they're good at. And so I can be a bit more relatable. And I think, a man's perspective on like female subjects can kind of help quite a bit.
That's true. You said that you have allowed guest appearances on your show for hair and makeup shows. I think I saw some of your past episodes were like makeup tips and things like that. So that's an interesting. I mean, you just did. How did that come? How did that come about? You were just like, I'm open to showing alternative stuff, like things that you may not know about. Your audience is open to that, and you're open to that. It seems.
Yeah, so like the girls I met, I actually met those two girls on Blab. They're sisters. It's called the Anahi and Daniela,
Mm-hmm.
the Castillo girls or the Castillo girls. Like they're pretty cool. They do like makeup tutorials on my Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was actually something that I kind of thought up because I was like, if it's 70% woman on my page, it only seems fair to sort of reach out to those girls and
Mm-hmm.
sort of give them something,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
What
And
was
if
the
and like
response?
pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah, they just do it on their phone. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not like they're not trying to full on go all out.
Right.
But I just did them a nice promo card and stuff like that recently, which I actually have to do for my own show. I haven't even done my own one yet.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So you're actually trying to be responsive to your audience and provide content that might be interesting to them. Uh,
Hmm.
so that's a.
It also puts a spotlight on them.
Mhm.
Like I have an audience and they are people, and it gives them an opportunity for people to be like, "Hey, I like you. Let me follow you."
Mhm. Mhm.
And so they can redirect my audience to them. I don't mind sharing my audience with people. I quite like doing that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I'd rather people find someone interesting that I've thought interesting. Do you see what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
it was my decision to have them on the show or have them on my page doing their thing. And if someone else is like, it's my decision to follow them elsewhere, then I feel like I've done my job right.
Mhm. Mhm. So that's pretty communal and a cool way to look at that. I know that mentioned we were going to talk about Rob a little bit and what he's doing. It seems like,
Hey.
so let's mention. So when you moved on from Blab, and you were
Yep.
doing a really popular dating show on there, like a speed dating show
Yeah.
called Hit It or Quit It. Is that's right, right?
Hit it or quit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sounded like a really fun show, and I'd love to maybe go a little bit into that in a second. But when you moved on from Blab,
Woohoo.
um, I would say, is that how a lot of your audience found you? From that show, the dating show was pretty big, and then you moved on to Facebook. Your audience was able to follow you there and talk and kind of see more live broadcasts there. And then our friend Robert Hicks, who's in the chat, if you guys have questions for him, did he approach you and see you, or did you approach him? How did you guys find each other? Rob is putting together, a bunch of type of Facebook Live broadcasters like yourself, and is
Yep.
offering a whole bunch of channel, almost like a network, a Facebook Live broadcasting network of different types of people like you and different types of broadcasters. So
A conglomerate
a
of
conglomerate.
yeah, there we go. A conglomerate of amazing broadcasters. He also has Live Media Guide, which he's working on very hard, by the way. And it seems to be working and paying off, and I like it. I like the amount of work he's putting in, and it's going in the right direction. But Live Media Guide is a online live stream, kind of like a TV guide
Hmm.
for live streams. And I thought that's pretty cool because some of the, like, I don't even watch TV, to be honest. And I
Hmm.
haven't for probably about a year and a half ever since I did start streaming because I'd much rather watch people that I know, care about, and can relate to, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
And
So.
so, like, the live media guide really works well. But, sorry, and like, Rob, me and Rob met, through Blab. And he was actually the first person to step forward and be like, hey, Ricki, let me help you. And so, like, at first, I was always very, like, shy to people helping me. It's a very New Zealand thing to do. Like, no, I can do it on my own. I can do it on my own. Like, that's a very New Zealand thing to do.
Hmm.
It's the whole do it yourself attitude, and reap full reward. But the thing is like, he taught me the idea of abundance. So it was cool. He said to me this one line. He was like, hey, Ricki, your show's doing well. and like, you know, like my show, I don't know if he agreed with the show, but he certainly agreed with the fact that, you know, I can do really well as a live broadcaster. And he said to me, he was like, what's the one thing that I could help you out with that might give you that leap forwards with your broadcasting? And it's interesting because I said a microphone, and then he sent me a microphone to my house, and that's the story of this microphone. I've still got it. I'm going to be fixing it because I really like this microphone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So he
So
helped you out
that's,
that way, and then from there, you know, you kind of joined the team, and are one of the broadcasters that he helps promote and produce on Facebook, right?
yeah.
So do
Yeah.
you work together that way? Do you kind of like, do you do a regular broadcast every week?
Yeah, I do. I run a show called Ricki Prime Live. That's every Monday. Uh, and it's 4:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time. So, and we kind of go over different topics. Like last week, we sort of just sat down and relaxed. And we actually, by the end of the show, I was like, because I don't know if you guys won't know this because you guys are overseas, but in my town, we're doing this whole mayor thing. So like we're trying to find a new mayor. So what I did is I actually created like a little publication which I posted out and sort of started pushing outwards to people like, hey, check this out. Like Ricki Prime is running for mayor. And it was interesting because by doing this, I was able to sort of say, you know, like I'm quite happy to represent the people who support me. And that's kind of why I did the mayor thing. It was like, yo, I don't care what people say, what people think. It's just the fact that we're doing it. And so me and my friends, we sat down in a broadcaster and they were watching me, and I said, hey, like, wouldn't it be funny if it looked like I was trying to run for mayor? And so that's actually how we came up with it. So creativity was bred through my broadcast. And so you could actually go to their broadcast, watch the end of it, and then you could see where a certain image actually came from.
That's really great. So, first of all, I love a couple things. One is that you're fake running for mayor in your town. That's rad. And two, I like the fact that Rob is such a dedicated producer that he is up at 4:30 in the morning on Mondays to help you live with your broadcast. I mean, I don't think that says could say anything higher about someone and their dedication to helping you succeed. That's really cool. So
Yeah, well, he's looked after me pretty well, eh? Like he's not really just like a person who helps me. It's more of like between me and Rob. Like I feel like it's more like family now. Like, you know, when I think of the United States, it's like, oh, my family in, you know, Maryland. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a bit more than just like yeah. And like he kind of tells me like perspective. He gives me more perspective on thoughts I have, and that helps me a lot. But you know, like instead of getting soft and soppy, when let me break down Rob for you. Rob does the Enlightened Audio Visual stuff. Enlightened Audio Visual is pretty awesome. You guys can check that out, enlightenedaudioVisual.com.
yeah, Rob, you can leave a link in the comments so people can find more info about you.
Yeah. And you know what's like the thing about him is like he has an idea, and like as long as it's like transparent to him, it's easy for him to continue to move forwards, right? And so like I like see like a bunch of people around him at the moment helping him grow his idea, and that's amazing. But the thing about him is like he's open to anything. Like he's open to suggestion, and I think that's what really made a huge difference for me. And I've taken that same sort of learning now and sort of just relaxed a bit more. Like I was so worried what people thought of what I was doing, and now I just do and don't even worry. Like I just have fun and try to enjoy life, and yeah, it's so much easier. It's so much easier now. Like my broadcasting has definitely stepped right up because of the sort of thinking that Rob has.
Mm.
And he so his company, and correct me if I'm wrong, but his company at this very point, like before the whole live broadcasting stuff, was they would fly all over the country in America, and they'd set up conference rooms. But now they actually have this amazing studio set up for live broadcasters
Mm-hmm.
like myself, and that's I was actually allowed to use that broadcasting room while I was in the States, and I thrashed that every single day I could. Thrashed it. I was like, oh man, this thing's cool. So basically what he's done is he's created a turnkey solution live broadcasting setup. So he's got these studio rooms now, and you just go on, you flick the switch, and then everything just turns on,
Mm-hmm.
and you're ready. You can broadcast from there. You don't even have to do any adjustments.
Mm-hmm. It's like all the one button studio. I've heard the term before. You know, you press one button and everything, lights, camera, action, streaming, boom, you're just going.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
it's amazing. And so for me, like, I'm quite happy to sit down and just try and break it. I tried to break it as hard as I could. I think I broke it once. I was like, Rob, today we're gonna push this system as hard as we can, and I think I only managed to break it once in 3 months. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
Well, we definitely want to have him on the show as well and talk to him a little bit more about what he does and how he does it. But real quick, I mean, can you talk a little bit? This is a good time to talk about how the technical side of your broadcasts work. So do you use a Skype call? Do you call into Rob's studio? I'm assuming he's in Maryland on the East Coast. And you call in like you're doing with us right now. You've got you're kind of responsible for your own lighting, your own audio, and your own bandwidth. But beyond that, once you can get him good audio and video, he can take it from there and produce the rest of it. He can add graphics and titles, and he can bring in remote guests. I mean, what else?
Yep.
Is that basically how it works?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. But it just takes a long time to set up, I think. That's probably the only time. Just trying to set it up and make sure that everything's working. It's an interesting process. So he particularly uses Zoom. Zoom's got like this massive quality, mad HD quality. I love Zoom for its quality. Locking features, all that sort of stuff.
And for those of you who don't know, Zoom is basically like Skype, but another level. Does even more.
Yeah, it's pretty good technology, and he actually showed me that, and like it's exactly the same as like how you guys have got it set up right now, I'm guessing, but so Zoom, then he uses on his end, he actually uses the Wirecast 7 suite, and I use Wirecast 7 on this side too if I wanted to, and I can bring in like my different backgrounds. I can, with RPL, we all do different things. There's so many different things that we can do, but we both use Wirecast 7, and we can make it do different things. I kind of like pushing out, using the canvas and pushing out, so I've got like my own custom background. If I was to sign into someone else's broadcast, I want them to grab my video feed as if I was in like a studio. Like right now, it's just my curtain in the background, but if I had my green screen set up, bang.
That's cool. So you can kind of adjust it as you need to on your end too, and then use like our Wirecast software to control how you look when you zoom in or when you Skype into somewhere.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So let's jump back a second. Let's talk about your speed dating show, because this is kind of a fun topic. So you got on Blab. You started hanging out with all these people who have been watching your Periscope vlog on your breakup. They said they want to talk to you, so they started calling in. And Blab, again, is kind of like a Google Hangouts or something like that, where people have webcams. They can call in, you can conference, and then viewers can also either participate or they can just go to the Blab website, or they used to be able to go to the Blab website, and they could just watch this almost like webcam TV show where everybody just kind of calls in and hangs out, and you can either participate or you can chat or you can actually call in with your own webcam or just watch and just be kind of a fly on the wall. So you started talking with all these viewers. What happened next?
It was actually pretty awesome because when it came to Hit It or Quit It, which was the name of the speed dating show, uh, I started off and I actually it's sort of started off with us asking questions. It was just like general chatting. We're just generally chatting, and I was like, I could feel it brewing. I was like, I can see a show from this, and we've got to bring Hit It or Quit It back. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I got some good news about Hit It or Quit It. All right, so yeah, when it came to Hit It or Quit It, my first episode, I like I saw this beautiful girl in a room on Blab, and I was like, "Yo, that's my co-host. That is my co-host right there."
I've identified her. Now she just needs
Yes.
to. She just needs to say yes.
Yeah, and I think it was like her first night, and I won't say her name because she likes to remain a bit undercover, like. But the show itself was super successful. Um, yeah, so our very first episode, I think we had like 70 views straight away,
Hmm.
solid for like 2 hours. People would just sit there and watch and listen to people calling in. And it was just, it's interesting seeing how people sort of react, like, because, if it's a beautiful girl and the guy's not that confident, he sort of backs down a little bit, or he sees something a little bit off topic. And if it's vice versa, it can be very different again. And sometimes we'd have two guys on there, sometimes we'd have two girls on there. And it was more like it went from like a speed dating show to a personality matching show.
Hmm.
But what I like the most about Hit It or Quit It is people fancied each other enough to start flying around the world and actually meeting each other. And I think that there is like 100% the top importance of Hit It or Quit It itself.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, I
yeah.
think we may have a clip here from your very first episode, and I'm gonna try to play this out for you guys. So let's just see if how this goes here. You ready for this? First of all, you're gonna need to notice that Ricky's hair is a little different. Here we go. And you're gonna want channel 4 on the audio. Is that coming through? Can you hear that?
I can't hear it.
Let's see. Audience isn't hearing it right now.
Come on.
I'm gonna pull up my system preferences here. Pull out the audio.
Oh, no.
This intro is awesome, by the way. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
I got the
We've
hand
actually-
like adjusting the audio in the corner there. It's so good.
I got it right that time.
Oh, okay.
How's it going? I'm Ricki Prime.
Oh, they can hear it. Yeah, I can't hear it.
All right, good.
Introduce himself.
Hello, hello.
It's actually growing since
Ricky,
then.
there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be an echo.
It's grown since then,
Echo's
by
gone for you
far.
now. Check that out.
Well, we have a
So,
later
yeah.
episode. I can pull that up too.
We're good now?
When you're into it a
Yeah.
bit.
So. Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
so you're just hanging out and you're interviewing the folks on Blab, and so tell me, I'll turn down the volume here real quick here. Why don't you tell me the format a little bit? How did this work?
Okay, so like when it comes to the show, one person is gonna call in and they're gonna ask another person 5 questions. The person who asks the 5 questions
Uh-huh.
then says if they hit it or quit it, if they like what they see, sort of thing.
Uh-huh. So up
Yeah.
in the top corner, and maybe we'll go to this next this episode 26 here, which I have that as well. Let's pull that one up real fast. Do this.
Oh man, Carly's gonna be so mad with me.
Yeah. Well, we're not doing audio at the moment, so I'll just pull this up. So here we are. This is you after 26 episodes. This is a little bit further along in the show, and
I still have my bed.
yeah. And I'm digging the hat there. That's pretty rad. So so you've got basically your intro. Let's skip ahead a little bit. You've got the first caller comes on. So is this your like potential the person who's like the candidate? Like they're gonna get asked the questions?
Nah, that would be my co-host.
Oh, is this your
That's
co-host?
Charlie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you and you and Charlie are kind of talking, and then you've got these two callers coming on here.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Those
right.
are the two callers.
Okay. So the girl on the left and the dude on the right doing the rock on sign. Okay. And so which one is do you guys basically they each have to ask each other 5 questions, or does
Nah.
Okay.
One person will ask 5 questions, and then the person will answer them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person who initially asked those 5 questions will then say if they hit it or quit it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny because like watching, I don't really watch the episodes, but it's just really interesting seeing how it evolved. It became a very serious thing, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, people were taking it's the search for love, man. You gotta take it seriously, right?
Definitely take that seriously.
Okay, so you identify one of these people, and it could be a guy or it could be a girl. It doesn't matter, right? As what did you call them? Did you call them the contestant or the what?
The datee or the dater.
The datee. Okay, and the datee has to answer 5 questions, right? From the dater.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then at the end, so the dater asks the datee, and then datee has to answer 5 questions. And at the end, the dater gets to say, I'd hit it or I'd quit it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then do you bring on another dater to ask the datee again? Or do you just move on to a whole new set of
we'll remove them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll remove them, and then we'll get like a fresh set of people on.
Okay. So I will skip on. So this is your next set of dater and datees. Okay, let's listen to a little clip here. I'm hoping this is this is safe for radio.
Hey, Boomer.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't think this one is because I know this exact episode. I know what happens.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Why don't you give us a little breakdown?
Okay, so that's Kristen Cheatwood. She's amazing. She's like really good at it, and like I have tons of respect for her. And he's like getting pretty heated off of the questions. He actually drops out of this episode.
Oh no!
He actually drops out. He's like, "Oh man, I can't handle like
He can't answer.
actually too much."
He can't answer the questions. It's like truth or dare.
Yeah, he's getting pretty heated. So he literally jumps off. He's like, "Oh, nah, I gotta go. Like I can't handle. It's too hot for me.
Too hot." She put him in the hot seat. That's awesome. Oh, that's great. So then it looks like you get on another caller here. She gets her next contestant.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. So
that's Dubs.
Okay.
Yeah, Dubs is cool.
That's awesome. Well, this looks like it was such a fun show. This must have been so fun to do and so fun to watch. You guys look like you're having a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's cool because it brought a lot of people together just randomly.
mm-hmm.
It was like, I don't know how it happened. It just happened. We started breaking off into a new show called The Duel, which was it was sort of like one person. So there's like one princess and 2 knights trying to get the princess. You know, it's sort of like The Bachelor. You know, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. Yeah, it was kind of like that. And we started doing that concept, and it actually started taking off a little bit as well. I think in the future that it has massive potential, but live is much more important than scripted. You know, like a lot of the stuff you see on TV is scripted.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it's a bit of an improv style show, and you never know what's going to happen next a little bit. That's pretty exciting. And I love that you took something simple like just a webcam system where people were calling in with webcams, and you immediately saw the potential for something like this show where, you know, people are calling in and interviewing each other on the spot, and you don't know what kind of chemistry is going to happen. You don't know how people are going to answer. They might drop off. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
wow.
And so I understand that was season 1. How, you did at least 26 episodes, maybe more. I don't know how many episodes you guys got
I think
under
we
your
went
belt.
up to 32 episodes in the first season.
All right.
Second season, we're only going to have 8 episodes.
So that was my next question. Is there going to be a second season?
Yeah. So, just recently, we signed with a company called Huggy, and Huggy is an online dating app as well, kind of like Tinder, but it's like a cross between Tinder and Snapchat. And like, I'm really excited about this because this is this is something that like, like when I was sort of doing Hit It or Quit It, I kind of thought to myself, oh, like it's just a show, but then people kind of said, like your show could go somewhere, and like I don't mind where it goes. I'm just more interested in seeing it do something. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to. I just want to be like, oh yeah, cool. We actually did something with it. You know what I mean? Like, but it's pretty cool because we signed with Huggy, and so now we've got like a dating app. And if people are too shy to jump on the show, they can use this dating app called Huggy, and there's no text on Huggy as well, which I found was really cool. And that means that there's no catfish. Like you have to be on cam. Yeah, it's like the video side of Snapchat. No texting.
Okay.
So yeah, there's like a massive catch to it, and I think that's kind of a really cool outlook on how like because I went from like talking about my breakup on Periscope to running Hit It or Quit It to going to Facebook and aligning with an app that is like Tinder, but much more new school. Like Tinder's quite an old school sort of thing. This app is quite a new school idea, and I really like it. It was actually interesting because I was sitting in New York and I was at my friend's house and I was like, man, if I had an app, this is exactly what I'll do. And he was like, oh, bro, I know this guy that's doing that. And so he like hooked me up with them, and that's how we got underway. And so it's sort of something that we can sort of say, we can get a show and actually make it like a little bit bigger than what we always thought,
So where do people go to get more info about Huggy and, the second season for Hit It or Quit It?
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing like a full promo package for it.
Uh-huh.
Just to sort of announce that it's coming out, because I'm going to be calling in like people who actually want to be on the show. I want to call them in and actually run it a bit more. It's still not going to have like scripts and stuff. We're going to run it very similar to how we did originally. But I'm just going to try and, what's the word? I just want it to be run very similar, but a bit tidier. So no scripts, but very streamlined in the way it's being
like stay on time,
produced.
stay on schedule, get your next caller in, and then just be ready to go. That's cool. Well,
yeah, it's hard.
I can't wait to see it, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I think that's it. We've been going about an hour here, and we should probably call this a day. But Ricki, you've been so great, so gracious with your time and your expertise. You've clearly you've done it all. So it's really nice to talk to somebody who's been streaming as long as you and has seen as much as you and still doing it and innovating. So I really look forward to seeing what you do next. And I want to thank you for your time today and being on Wirecast Live.
Amen.
You have a good rest of your tomorrow, and we'll try to catch up to you in 24 hours.
Yeah. Would you like the winning lottery numbers?
Yes,
or?
please. Anything you can do. All right. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time. And for all of you, everybody who's joined us, thanks for watching. And we'll see you on our next episode of Wirecast Live. And we will be taking a little bit of a break in September. I'm going to be on the road traveling a bit, but we should have at least 1 or 2 episodes. So stay tuned for those. We'll announce those on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Take care. If you need more information or want to find more on what Ricki does, check him out at facebook.com/Ricki Prime. And or you can tweet at him at Ricki Prime. Is that correct, Ricki?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. And we will catch you next time. And so long, and keep streaming.
hello.